Hello, this is Steve Ramona, your host for Doing Business with a Servant's Heart. I want to thank our sponsors, Infone, and with Infone, you can place your business on everybody's cell phone, turn their business into a web app, and with a click of a button, they'll have access to you 24/7. And also Pantheon.fm. Have you ever thought about monetizing and taking your podcast to the next level? Well, Pantheon can do that. Let us show you how. Reach out to Steve Ramona, the host, at infone.co/SR1, and I will go over with you how you can make your podcast really stand out. Let's enjoy the show. Thanks again, everybody. Welcome, everyone, to Doing Business with a Servant's Heart. This is your host, Steve Ramona, and I'm excited. This is part 2 with my guest. She's in the area, in the Northern California area like me. She's my neighbor, but she has a strong emotion to helping people, strong feelings. And every time I talk to her, I get excited because more people need to be like Dr. Laurel. Dr. Laurel, welcome to the show.
Hey. Hello, everyone. Good day. Great to be back. Great to be with you, Steve, today. I'm really excited about being in this conversation.
Yeah, me too. And part 2, go back and look at part 1. We did a couple of months ago. Take a look. This will all tie in together to see the power of what Dr. Laurel's doing and helping people. So let's get into it. What is the bridge between sports and business? They could be so similar in so many ways, and we can learn lessons from those. What are those?
When young kids are doing sports, learning sports, and becoming part of sports teams, it's like one of the most important things that they can do in their life, because what life really is about is working together with a team for a common goal. So that's what your life is about. Like, school is kind of about, learning, doing it on your own, figuring it out, competing with other people. I mean, there are some group projects and stuff, but sports are really working with a team, working with other people. In sports, the goal is to win, primarily for most people. And so that's what life is about. Like, our lives and our businesses are about working with each other for whatever common goal it is, and whatever that winning looks like, in your life or in your hobbies or your family or in your business, right? So, like, you're working with a team of people, whether you're like a single entrepreneur, solopreneur, or if you have other team members. Like, I'm a solopreneur, but I have a lot of team members that I work with to help, my business thrive. But we're working with these people as a team for a goal of winning in our businesses. What winning looks like is very individual to the business, but that's what we're really doing. And that's what we learn from sports that we can really take into our business.
Let's talk about the leadership crossover. When we say servant leadership, because it's doing business with a servant's heart. We know in the locker room, there's always one guy or female that's a leader. Point to the captain or whoever that leader is. Of course, the coach is a leader. Can that happen with a group of employees at a business?
Absolutely. You do have bosses and business owners, CEOs, whatever you want to call them, that there are leaders, right? And they are leading, their team, they're leading their clients, whoever there is around you to lead. And then, you have captains and co-captains on teams, and, you can see their leadership. But there's a secret. Can I let you in on my little secret?
I would love to hear it.
Yeah. So if you saw a team working together and you didn't know who the leader was because they all act like leaders, that's what you really want. So leadership is not necessarily always about leading a team. It's actually creating leaders in your team so that everyone can lead each other. And when you can't tell who the leader is, that's the team that you really want.
And I love, oh man, I love this. Oak McCullough, who was a guest on my show, he's a retired lieutenant colonel. He asked this question when people say they lead. Hey, I'm a leader. Mm-hmm. He says, who you mentoring today? And if they say no, he says, with love, you're not a leader, because leaders are always mentoring somebody, correct?
Yes, they are. You know, you are leading people, but as a leader, you can also be being contributed to and being led yourself. And, you know, as a coach, I coach mostly young people in sports, mental performance coaching. And while I'm coaching them, like all this stuff is opening up for me and it's teaching me how to like, you know, coach these people so I can do a better coach, be a better coach to other people too. So I'm not just leading these people, I'm actually developing myself as a leader as well by working with my clients, and they contribute to me very greatly.
That's so well said, because that's a true leader. They're always learning. I mean, everybody should be learning, but a true leader is learning. So I'm going to ask you this question. I ask a lot of people that talk leadership in sports and business. What does servant leadership mean to you when you hear it?
Yeah, it's almost hard to pull apart servant and leadership because, you know, as you're serving people, that is leadership. You are showing leadership as you're serving people. But, you know, serving others, it really comes back to like what you're personally connected to. It's your passion, your mission in life, and what you're really connected to. And I shared a little bit about my story on our last podcast. And, you know, that helped me. You know, my experience as a young student athlete helped me to be able to develop into someone who can help other people, you know, other young people, other young student athletes to show up in life very powerfully and not have some of the pitfalls that, you know, I had growing up. And I really have this passion and this mission in life to help young people to deal with life and show up really powerfully. And my avenue is through sports, which is really fun and awesome and great. And if you don't know what your passion or your mission is, I just say to stay in the inquiry of it, stay in the conversation, even if it's with yourself, because it'll continue to get clearer and
Mhm.
clearer. And as I continue to dive into who I wanted to help, and I connected to my story and realized that I'm someone that is my ideal client, like my 14-year-old self would have been a really great ideal client for myself. Connecting, you know, my story with who I wanted to help became really clear, but it took me like I would say about a year to get really clear when I started the discovery to getting really clear on that. So if you're not clear on, you know, who you want to serve, continue to connect with yourself, your story, your passion, your mission, and stay in the inquiry, and it'll get clearer over time.
That's a new way of answering that question. I love it, because clarity is so important in everything in life. So as you're talking, I'm thinking about these young athletes you work with. Can these young athletes, what's the age range?
I work with kids as young as 10 years old on their mental performance, on their mindset.
Right. So can a young 10-year-old athlete be a leader?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Um, yeah, I have a 10-year-old that I coach, and you know, through the coaching, it was really funny. Some of her personal relationships with her other team members came about. And then I realized that I was not just coaching her on her sport, but I was coaching her in her relationships and her interactions with her other team members and helping her really show up really powerfully and confidently like, hey, this works for me in my sport and in my relationship, and this is a principle I'm going to work off of to deal with. You know, it was some gossip and some talk and some different personalities, so she was able to be really grounded in who she was,
Yeah.
no matter the different personalities, no matter people trying to put her in the middle of relationships. She was really solid in her foundation in herself, and she was able to really be a good example of leadership with the principles that is agreed upon. That one of the agreements in this sport for this kid was no gossip, And she was able to be a leader in this no gossip space in her sport at 10 years old.
That's a true leader. I love this because Dr. Laurel, you may know this, but what I'm thinking is you're not only helping the athlete on their athletic pursuits, but you just helped her personally too, which could be even bigger impact than her athleticism, right?
Yeah, the impact is incredible. Sometimes I'm even taken back by the impact that I make. And yeah, so the impact that she's able to show up confidently in these relationships with her peers and be a leader, I mean, it changes her whole trajectory in life. And our life are these experiences, and through these experiences, we're practicing different behaviors. And it starts to build up these muscles for behaviors from an analogy, right? So you start to build up these muscles and they get stronger and stronger. So we've been able to build up a really strong muscle of confidence, strong muscle of foundation, strong muscle of leadership from a really early age. So she's going to be practicing those, and she's not going to be practicing other things like gossip and not be like maybe telling these little white lies because she wants to get along with everybody, or whatever it is for her. So for us as leaders, like we sometimes our past didn't set us up for success, and we've learned some behaviors through leadership that don't quite serve us. And I have plenty of examples myself of how
Yeah.
I developed some leadership skills that actually didn't serve me.
As parents, you need to listen to what she's saying. She's bringing more value than she's actually being humble, but the value you're bringing, and parents need to hear this, is it's a tough world nowadays. I mean, I know every generation says that, but to be a kid nowadays, I don't know if I want to, but you help with that, because that could be a bigger problem than their athleticism, is how they're being treated at school, how their cousins treat, whatever that personal problem is. And a lot of times it affects their athletic performance. You're helping both entities.
Yeah, exactly. I do develop kids physically
Awesome.
and mentally in their sport. And it's not just about their sport, it is really about their life too.
How much do you change the parents?
Um, yeah, I think there's a really great impact on the parents. Sometimes I do coach the parents to be a coach to their kid. And that makes the greatest impact, is when I can coach the parent and coach the kid, and then the parent ends up being the kid's coach. Basically, they kind of take over for me, right? But some parents don't want the coaching or don't want to afford the coaching or whatever the reason is, and so I only coach the kid. But still, the kid showing up with the confidence and the skills in life that they need, it takes a lot of stress off the parents, a lot of worry, stress, so parents can go worry about other things in life, right?
Yeah. Yeah, like making money
Yeah,
and living and all that
yeah,
great stuff.
exactly. And I also tell the parents at the end of our sessions who don't get the coaching, like, hey, your kid's not going to be perfect. They're really not. They have a lot of tools. Their lives are transformed, but like they still need practice. And it's a life, like leadership is a lifelong learning process. So there's going to be things to learn, develop over time. So these kids aren't going to be perfect right out of this coaching. So I tell the parents, like, you just have to be, you know, um, patient with them, and know that they got skills, and their skills to be developed in the future too. And I have parents just ask the kids, like, hey, can you go back to what you learned in this program, and are there any principles or anything you can apply to the situation, without
Right.
them actually coaching them, because a parent might not know the terminology and the distinctions that we have
Right.
fully coached on.
And that's so important because you can lead them. And if they got better 20%, if we put a number on it, that's better than they were when they started. That's the whole thing. They got better, whatever that is, and they can have something to work on after. But there's
Yeah,
one,
and
go ahead.
Yeah, and sometimes you don't see the impact immediately,
Yeah.
but there's going to be a longer term impact, but sometimes you can't even see, sometimes you won't even notice the impact. I mean, I could probably be able to see it, but sometimes you're not even going to know the impact, and there is a longer term impact that does exist.
And you're available too. 6 months go down the road, and the parents, if you're working with the parents, go, "Hey, we got this situation." You could jump on an email or a quick call and help to answer that question, right?
Yeah, my initial program is 6 weeks.
Okay.
So once a week for 6 weeks is ideal. And there are 6 principles that I coach on. So we go through 1 through 6, and then the kids come come away with 6 tools to use. And you can use all 6 tools on every single situation in your life, or you can go back and use one tool for whatever you're dealing with. So you can either go 1 through 6, or you can pick and choose which tool to use. So yeah, I do the 6 week program first, and then if they want additional support once a month or something like that, we can do that, or follow up in 6 weeks, or even like a year goes by and you want to go through the program again, the kid's going to continue to get something out of it, and will deepen the distinctions and deal with what they're dealing with in their sport and their life from there. I've also put other people through these programs, so not just student athletes. I've put adult athletes, professional athletes, ultra athletes, and sometimes I coach people through referrals around their business mindset, and sometimes their relationships.
Yeah, that's great. I like that you're always in their radar, which should be. I know people don't do that. It's amazing to say that, but people don't do that. But before I forget, let's do a shout out, because now you've got all these golden nuggets. Somebody want to reach out to you. How can they find you?
Yeah, you can reach out to me on my website, bit.ly/capital B, capital L, athlete in lowercase letters, ATHLETE. You can also find me on Instagram at DRLAURELPT.
Awesome. And you said you had an offer that you wanted to put out to the audience?
Yeah, I have a special offer for our guest today. For my 6 week mental performance coaching, for whoever is interested in that, I'm giving a $270 discount on the 6 week program with the discount code podcast. So you can go to my website, click on the 6 week program, sign up for it with the discount podcast.
Okay, you've got me excited. I'm fired up now. So guess what I'm going to do?
You going to sign up?
Well, no, I probably should. We'll talk more about that. But the first 4 people that reach out to you, Laurel, Dr. Laurel, I want to be, because you did a lot of work to be a doctor, Dr. Laurel, I'm going to send them a $25 Amazon gift card.
That's amazing.
So anybody, audience, the first 4 people that reach out to her, take the offer or not, you just reach out and want to learn about what she's doing, I'm going to send you a gift card, because I'm putting my money where my mouth is. I say this all the time on my podcast, but I truly love what she's doing. And if I was an athlete, I might have been a pro athlete if I worked with her. I'm seriously saying this because I missed out on all this stuff in the 70s and when I was doing sports. And this wasn't as big back then. I'm an old guy, but that's okay. Somebody's got to get old someday. But this mindset stuff I didn't have. And peak performance I didn't have. I just relied on my work hard and athleticism. Well, it got me so far, but not as far as I wanted to go. If you parents, you want to take your kids to another level, or adult athlete, you're a triathlete. You're a golfer. You don't have to be professional. You're an amateur golfer. Reach out to Dr. Laurel. Let's get you taken care of and get you an Amazon gift card.
I love treating golf or coaching golfers too. That's a really fun crowd to coach, because how much you're actually playing golf is so tiny. The amount of time you're actually swinging the golf club and making contact with the ball is so minimum compared to how much you could be in your head around your game.
Amen. Golfers, you hear that? She's right. I know you can improve your score with her. So get your score improved. So
I say, get your score below your age.
Well, I'm 84. Just kidding. No, I'm 62. If I get my score below 62, I'll pay you Everything I got. So one last thing, we're running out of time here, but what came to my head as you were talking, given such great golden nuggets, is there's one more pillar of all this. We've got the athlete, the young athlete, we've got the parent, but we also have got their coach. Mm-hmm. The leadership. How do you deal with the coaches with these athletes, and what's leadership important that the coach needs to have?
Yeah, so that, we just treat each other like co-captains. Like sometimes I put the athlete at the top of the pyramid, right? With the parent as the co-captain. And then I'm like the team member, and the coach is the team member for the athlete, who's actually like the driver and the leader and the captain here, right? And I do mental performance and physical performance. Coaches do skill and strategy work. So between the two of us, we develop all four aspects of an athlete. And I like to work very collaboratively and not necessarily like competitively with coaches to develop athletes.
That's good, because it came to my head, because that's the other component. They all have a coach, whether they're gymnastics or golf or baseball. There's somebody running the team, and you kind of have to be part of that a little bit to be for them to be successful.
When we look at professional athletes, they have lots of coaches. People don't just have one coach, we have different coaches and different people that support us in our life. Like in our personal life, we'll have different people to support us than in our business life. And, like in business, people have business coaches. If you're religious, if you have a religious affiliation, you have, pastoral councils or like coaches there, or people that kind of guide you in that direction. So like in our lives, we have different people of support, different coaches. Add to your team.
Well, I'm going to add this, and we're going to close the show. Here's why you need to reach out to Dr. Laurel. It just came to me as just a thought. I talk to parents all the time, Dr. Laurel, spending thousands of dollars a year on AAU baseball or club teams. My wife's daughter travel for volleyball to Reno and to Vegas, and they're spending thousands of dollars. So they're better, right?
Yeah.
But the one missing component is, which is what you fill that gap, right?
Yeah, the mind muscle is the most undertrained and underdeveloped muscle in all of sports, including professional sports. And if you spend a little money in mental performance training, it makes the biggest difference in your student athlete, in their sport and in their life. So the ROI on this training is off the charts.
Outrageous. Yeah. So I could talk to you all day. It's time just flew. So if you're spending money on your athlete, reach out to Dr. Laurel and make them better. Okay. I'm telling you that. And I want her email blown up. I want to give out 4 Amazon gift cards. So let's do that. Thank you for being on the show. I've learned a lot. If I was a parent, I know how to handle it now. So when I talk to parents, I'm going to refer you to them, because I know being a better athlete is so important, probably too important for the parent sometimes. But you've really made clarity using your words today of why it's important. Thank you again. I keep thanking you. It's just such a great show. But can you leave me one little favor?
Yeah. So thank you so much for having me on the show. My phone number and email is on my website, so you can access me there. And so mental performance coaching for your young athletes can completely transform their lives and can be the best gift that you ever give your kid.
Amen. What's one last tip you can leave my audience, whether it's kids, parents, amateur athlete, that could help them in their athletic ventures?
So I'm going to leave the audience, all of the audience, with this. We are all leaders, and our expression of leadership is all different. And it's not just about leading others. It's about also being contributed to by others. So see where you can develop yourself as a leader from serving your community and being served by your community.